Hello friends, welcome back here. I'm here again with a new chess video. This is very interesting chess game. At last it ended in a stalemate, or we can say it ended in a draw. So friends, this was really interesting game. My opponent had only lost one match in 8 matches and won 7 matches. So he was good player. I was playing as white. So I started with pawn to e4, then he blocked it. Then I brought my knight. He pushed his pawn. I also pushed my pawn to d4. He captured. I also captured it. Then he pushed his pawn to a6. Then I brought my queen to f3. Then he also brought his queen to f6. Then I captured his queen to exchange it. Then he taken my queen with his knight. I pushed my pawn. He also pushed his pawn to h6. Then I brought my bishop to d3. He also pushed his bishop to e7 so that he can castle. And I had also done the same thing for castle. But I pushed my pawn to see my opponent's next move. So he castled. I also castled here. Then he pushed his pawn. I had also done the same thing. Then he pushed his pawn to c5. I captured it. He also captured. Then I had to save my knight and I had taken it to f5. Then he pushed his bishop to d8. Then I brought my knight to d6 so that he had to save his white bishop. He taken his bishop to e6. I brought my another knight to d2. He pushed his pawn again. I pushed my bishop to e2. He pushed his bishop to c7. Then I pushed my pawn to e5. Then he captured my knight. I also captured it. He brought his knight. I also brought my knight. He captured. I captured. Then he brought his knight to e5. I brought my bishop to f4 so that he can save his knight. He pushed his pawn to save his knight, but I taken it. He also captured. Then I exchanged it. He also taken my rook. I brought my rook to d1. He brought his rook to d8. I pushed my pawn. He brought his king to f7. I brought my king to f2. He again taken his king to e8. I brought my bishop to give a check. He brought his king to d7. I pushed my pawn. He pushed his king to c6. Then I brought my bishop so to cancel it, and it was exchanged. Then he has taken my pawn. I captured his rook. He also captured my rook. Friends, if we see this situation, we can get to know that his king can't enter in my area, as because there is a pawn on g4, so he is blocked for 2 places, and here because of e4 he can't come to these 2 places, and my pawns are separated so he can't enter to my area, and also I can't go to his area very easily. So if he wanted to come to my area, he have to give his many times. So I was free to play this game, but I was in minus of 1 point. Then I brought my king to e3. He blocked my pawn. I also pushed my pawn. Then he pushed his pawn. Then I brought my king to d2. Then he also bring his king to c5. Then I brought my king to c2. He pushed his pawn. I brought my king to b2. He pushed his pawn. I taken my king to a1. He has taken his king to b5. I pushed my king to b2 again. He pushed his king to a4. So friends, in this situation I also have to pay my pawn again. I can't save it, so I have to do that. I had given it. Friends, after that, this move, I pushed my king to b1. Then he taken his king to a4. Then I pushed my king to b2. Then he again pushed his king to b5. Then I pushed my king to a3 so that his king can't come to my area. But he pushed his pawn. Then I had brought my king to b2. Then he again pushed his pawn. I had captured this pawn. Friends, in this situation I had sent it a draw offer, but he declined. So he pushed his king to a5. I brought my king to b2. He brought his king to a4. I brought my king to b1. He brought his king to a3. I brought my king to a1. He gave a check here. And then after that there is only one place remaining to go, that is b1. And if I will go here, then stalemate can be happen. If I will go here, so my opponent have only one thing to do, that is to push his king to b3, and if he will do that, there will be stalemate. But if he will take his king away from the pawn, his pawn will be captured, then the game will be mine. So I have to do this, then here stalemate happens. This was really interesting game. I was in minus, but this happened. I had sent 3 times draw offer, but he declined it. But anyways, it was draw at last. I hope you have liked this video. Thank you.